So my friend and I went to see Indiana Jones yesterday morning at 10:45, and for some reason we didn't check the listings, and so we didn't realize that there was no 10:45 showing of Indiana Jones. So we had a few hours to kill, and we went to see Stolen with Nicolas Cage. Stolen came out about a week ago. It stars Nicolas Cage, Josh Lucas, and Danny Huston. It's directed by Simon West, who made Con Air, Tomb Raider, Expendables 2. Oh, not crap movies. And this, apparently it came out less than a week ago. It came out like last week is when it premiered. And it was already in, the back end of AMC, like the theater that they don't clean anymore. Guys, Nicolas Cage is a decent actor. What is he doing? What is he doing with his career? I mean, he's got to be so broke to be doing some of this crap. Nicolas Cage is a thief in this movie. He's part of a group that consists of him, Josh Lucas, and a few others. I had nothing against Josh Lucas going into this movie. I liked the guy. I saw him and I was like, oh hey, I kind of like him. Maybe I won't... That the cops are watching this jewelry store because they think that Nicolas Cage and his gang are going to rob it. And then you find out that Nicolas Cage fooled the FBI agents because he robbed the store right next door. This is not a spoiler, it's the first 5 minutes of the movie. As they're running out, Josh Lucas and Nicolas Cage run into a man that's sitting in the alleyway behind the store that they just robbed. And he looks at him and says, hey guys, what are you guys doing? And it's pitch black, it's after dark, so there's no way that he would be able to really tell what they looked like. Josh Lucas is like, oh, and he pulls out his gun and he's like, I'm gonna kill him, I have to kill him, he saw our faces, and I've been to jail, I'm not going back to jail, I can't go back there, I just can't, I went to jail, and I didn't like it. And then it cuts away to the other people that are in their thief group, and they pull up in the van, and Nicolas Cage and Josh Lucas are still arguing about it, and he's like, and he's still saying, I've been to jail. He says it like 9 times. Freaking awful dialogue. It was so ridiculous. And he's like, I've been to jail, and I didn't like it, and I'm not going back, and you can't stop me, I'm gonna kill him. And Nicolas Cage like wrestles him to the ground, and at some point Josh Lucas fires the gun, shoots himself in the leg. Apparently he blows off a couple fingers. This is in the first 5 minutes of the movie, or maybe 10 minutes of the movie, so I'm not spoiling anything. This sets up the premise, I guess. Then Nicolas Cage starts carrying Josh Lucas over to the van. Nicolas Cage just leaves the money lying on the ground over in the alleyway. He runs back to go get the money, and his guys in the van are just like, oh, he's on his own, and just take off. And you're just like, oh, okay. Nicolas Cage gets captured by the FBI. So then 3 seconds later, 8 years have passed, and he's walking out of prison. 8 years has passed, and he's walking out to the street. His cop friend, the one that arrested him, pulls up in a car and says, hey, get in. The cop's assistant gets out and is helping Nicolas Cage into his car, and he looks at Nicolas Cage and goes, I hope you got raped every day. Those words literally came out of his mouth. What? The script in this movie is ridiculous. I was so... Then Nicolas Cage goes to see his daughter. His daughter's played by Sammy Gale, and Nicolas Cage gets out of the car and starts walking up to the house that apparently she lives in by herself, or they never show the wife, so you don't know whatever. He's walking up to the door, and he's about to open up the door, and then she opens it. This is what she says. Why'd you do that? You scared me. She didn't know how to make the scared expression on her face, so the director was like, okay, if you don't know how to play scared, well then just say that you're scared. Say that he scared you. Do that. That'll be good. Then the daughter gets out and she just walks out into the streets of New Orleans by herself. She's like 14. And then she gets in this taxi cab and drives off. And then Nicolas Cage gets a phone call about 5 minutes later, and it's Josh Lucas, and he literally, apparently in the span of 8 years, became a Mickey Rourke lookalike. The guy has long blonde hair, and he's like really unshaven. He's got tattoos like on his neck and all over his body. He lost the leg that he shot by accident. Now he's just angry at the world, and he blames Nicolas Cage for everything that happened. Then he's like, oh, just in case you didn't know, I'm a cab driver now. And the camera pulls out, and the daughter's in the back seat of the cab. That is your premise. It just gets worse and worse from here on. I want to talk about the script really fast in this piece of crap movie. Whoever wrote this script was literally writing it going, oh man, this is genius. I am so good. Oh, this is so creative. I can't believe myself. How creative am I? And just going along, just loving everything he's writing. Every scene has some form of metaphor that involves an animal in the dialogue. Literally, like, the characters just have a normal conversation, and the one character will say, you know, this reminds me of the squirrel in the wintertime that stays buried all winter and then comes out to get his acorns. Crap like that. That is the freaking dialogue in this movie. Josh Lucas gets pulled over by a cop. The girl pulled out his taillight. She's in the trunk of the cab now. So the cop walks up to the side of the car, and the girl just doesn't say anything. Like, she's in the trunk, she hears a cop, oh no, I'm not gonna say anything. What? I'm just being held hostage here, you don't need to hear about it. And so Josh Lucas starts talking to the cop, and the cop's like, hey sir, you have a broken tail light, so I just pulled you over for that. And the camera's zooming in on his face this whole scene, and Josh Lucas is like, you know what this reminds me of? Reminds me of my dying grandfather. He was dying of bone cancer, and the day he died, the only thing that he could complain about was the fact that he cut himself shaving. And I know what you're thinking. Why does a dying man shave? What? Every foreign person in this movie, like, plays to their stereotype. Like, you have like the southern guy that's like, ah, well, lady, I think I like you. I think I like you a lot. It's like, shut up. Like, no, nobody talks like that. And then you've got like this Australian guy who gets in the back of the cab and he like won't stop saying like Australian expressions, like, and you talking with their dialect, like, hey mate, and he says mate like 90 times, like, oh mate, oh well, I gotta call my mate and get, oh. There's no reason for this guy to be Australian. He's just in this scene and they're like, oh, you know what would be really cool and creative is if he was an Australian guy. That would be really cool. You should do that. Yeah, do that. I hate when they do that in movies. I hate it. Don't go see Stolen. Don't do it. Don't waste any pennies on this movie. It is a piece of crap. You will hate yourself for watching it. Unless you just love Nicolas Cage. And if you do, have you seen The Wicker Man? Have you? Okay.